Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, strong, saith Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi.
Among the 12 Lemba clans, the Buba clan has more than 53%, with the rest of the Lemba having somewhere between 2 and 9%. While this genetic link is very important, it is only part of the story.
Venturing into those forsaken regions, what do you know about a man named Shaka? Does that answer your question, Lieutenant? The Masani tribe, Humulus, Clubis, Tunus, Yunguanis, countless others, the banished of Southeast Africa, fleeing Shaka's spears, going straight into the arms of the white slave traders and the British troops on the borders of the Cape Colony. In a way, Lieutenant, they are the ultimate victims of recent history. If you'll favor my comparison, they are the wandering Jews of Africa. Fleeing the Pharaoh Shaka, they are the wandering Jews of Africa. Fleeing the Pharaoh Shaka into the Babylonian captivity of slavery.
Our dietary laws are similar to those described in the Bible in Leviticus. We only eat the meat that has been slaughtered by a circumcised lamb, similar to the ones that are kept by Christians. Chief amongst these holidays is Shabbat. We, the Lemba, still observe Shabbat, and Shabbat for us starts with the setting of the sun on Friday and ends with the setting of the sun on Saturday. On this day, we do not work. Like I said, Lemba are farmers. We rear livestock, we plow fields, and on Shabbat we totally stop working in our fields and tilling the land. The other holiday that I would like to talk about is the new moon. The new moon is marked by blowing the shofar that I talked about. It's an envelope one, it's kind of twisted. And when the new moon first appears, that day is marked by blowing the shofar 3 blasts. In the olden days, our elders used to a clay pot filled with water, placed in the shade of a tree, and this was used to locate the position of the moon, because then when the moon is too new, it will be close to the sun, so they avoided staring directly at the sun, and instead they looked at the sun's reflection in the clay pot filled with water. That's how they located the new moon. And if one person noticed that the new moon had indeed appeared, he was required to call the second person who was to bear witness that indeed the new moon had appeared. And after that person, they were required to call yet another person to make them 3. And after that, they would then go to inform the council of elders or the chief, depending on the social setup.
I want to give all the praises and the honor to Yahawah, BaHa, YAHAWASHI, BaHa, RAWCHAA, QADASH, and double honors to the elder apostles and bishops of Great Millstone. Honors as well to you, brethren, you fellow followers of this faith and belief. And shalom to the hopefully elect, shalom to the elect. Peace to you. I want to try to go in a short lesson about the hidden deception of this man, his systemic racism and how we've been discontinued from our heritage. And I'm just going to go back and forth through this. There was also a statement by Henry Kissinger, which I believe I'd seen a brother did a video, but I looked and actually saw a brother did a video on that a little while back. So I was just encouraged to go a little more into it. So this video is on the Limba tribe, which they knew. This is going back to 1969 and prior to that. So who took the heritage or stole the heritage? This goes back to Jacob and Edom, that birthright thing that we speak of in Genesis 25, right? Let me read this clip. Let me go to Psalms 83:3 first. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones, right? And it goes on to say, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. And we say Yasharallah, right? And this is why you don't see this terminology being used, because they cut that name off. This is why we see the name of Yahweh being cut off. And this is why they will fund other Israelites to keep practicing that false westernized name, as our people have become westernized, even in Africa to a degree. So I want to read this little clip from the White House. This is a message statement from Henry Kissinger in the White House, a memo of 1969. And this is why they don't like us. This is one of the reasons right here. It says, in the White House memo dated Tuesday, January 28, 1969, to President Nixon, former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger describes the Igbos as the wandering Jews of West Africa, gifted, aggressive, westernized. Now we look at this word gifted and aggressive. This is why they set up, they knew, I mean, this is all reincarnation in the Roman Empire, but they knew that if we can tame these people, set up sports, athletic events, this is what we need to keep them on that particular level. And this is why we make up most of the sports arena. Even the ones that look kind of white, you know, that are still Israelites. It's not skin color so much, because it's the spirit. It says, and resented, but mostly despised by their neighbors in the Federation, Foreign Relations. Document Volume E-5, Documents of Africa in 1969 to 72. Kissinger's description aptly portrays the Christian Igbos and their experience in Nigeria over the years. The Igbo have been the victims of numerous massacres. Does that not sound like Israelites, right? They have lost the count, Most of the violence directed against the Igbos have been state-sponsored. One can say that the Igbos knew how to spell state-sponsored terrorism before the rest of the world did. So we can clearly see that these people who have taken the identity is more likely behind a lot of the massacres and killings, because they wanted it, right? It is no secret now. I mean, I don't think our people care, but the ones of you who are waking up and we call out to the elect, we can see this is more proof. How much more proof do you need? They knew this, but for whatever reason, they never taught us in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, middle school, high school, that the Jews of West Africa were so-called Negroes. Now I want to go back to this, looks like rabbi, who talks about there's a specific gene that equates a genetic code that equates and proves who the Israelites are. The problem I'm having with that is you have to have a basis to claim your statement by who first. How do you determine that? You would have to go to the genetics of the original Hebrew. Now, if they're not willing to accept that we're the original Hebrew, they're going to make themselves the original Hebrew, and they're going to give themselves that gene, right? And say it was them, although our people are mixed amongst them as well. So you see, the point is, where do you start to know when or who is the original Jew? But they see these traits, and a lot of them trace it by the mother. This is why we don't go into that, although some of it is true. Romans 8:16 said, "It's the spirit, the flesh profiteth nothing. Our spirit beareth witness." In John 6:63, it says, "The flesh profiteth nothing." I'm not going to read any more of this. There's a whole lot of a lot on this, but the point is, Henry Kissinger, it says, White House memo of 1969 under Nixon called the Igbo Jews of West Africa. So wait a minute, where did the slave ships come from? So when you look at it, doing a geographical location and where we're at, wait a minute, does not make a lot of those ships, and they bought a lot of those ships, and through their greed they're being exposed, because their pride. They didn't just send a ship with 100 people on it. They packed those ships, and year and a half back and forth, and out of Spain and Europe, right? This is what happened. So it's undeniable. So if this is the case, why is there one particular group calling themselves the people of the biblical Israelites? Why is one group of people saying that when clearly there's other practicing Jews in West Africa and some in East Africa, South Africa, who were scattered? They're all practicing there. There's practicing ones here. They don't like us, and the media, they're going to, oust us because of what we teach. We're exposing the lies. Was it all right to be gangbangers, murderers, and thieves, and the people who set this up, or the producers, who they are, to push this narrative? Anyway, Ezekiel 36:24. It says, I'm going to go to 23. "And I will sanctify my great name." And this is clearly, they know the awakening is happening, so let us catch as many as we can and put them on our side. We'll fund them. But that's not working. They are taking a lot of people, but it's all about the Lord's elect. It says, "Which was profane among the heathen." See, that's a good one on the name. "Which ye have profaned in the midst of them." Now let's say we lost the name. Wouldn't you go with what resembles close to the name of the Lord? It's kind of like if I said in 6 months I was going to give myself a new name. So in 6 months I'm going to give myself a new name. Do you then change the name that I have already? No, you don't. You still call on me on that name. And this is how I see doctrine. They're saying a new name, which they don't understand that doctrine. But let's say the Lord is going to give us a new name. Do you then abandon the old name? Absolutely not. Okay, it says, "Which have profaned in the midst of them, and the heathen shall know that I am the Lord, saith the Lord God, Yahweh. When I shall be sanctified in you before their eyes. For I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all countries." Right? This is Isaiah 11:11 as well. When it says from Egypt and Pathros. And it says, "And will bring you into your own land." So now let's see. If this is prophecy and it had already happened, let's see. "Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and ye shall be clean from all your filthiness. So if we were put in that land, so anybody who occupies that land should be cleansed from all filthiness. But do you see the parades? Do you see what's going on? And that's the biggest deception. Let me steal your identity, because Habakkuk 2 says that. They steal nations by violence, steal lands, steal heritage, you know, people's heritages. I mean, they just go on and on. And through the power of that book, they know how they can control the world. Now, the question is, if they're the people of God, why haven't they taught the rest of the world to follow suit according to Torah, as they say? Because you got to know, when the real biblical Israelites become in charge of this globe, this world, all nations will follow the order that is set up. Okay? For I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all countries, and will bring you into your own land. Then will I sprinkle water upon you, and ye shall be clean from all your filthiness, and all your idols will I cleanse you. And a new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you. This goes to Hebrews 8th chapter and the 8th verse. So a lot of people said, like Sakari said, we don't know the authors. A lot of that is written in there is throughout the scriptures. This is what we're reading. He's going to give us a new heart, new spirit, right? And I will take away the stony heart from your flesh, and I will give you a heart, you